Is you're still good. Where's UDL league page? Dylan or whoever wants to send the link into the chat, into the WEC chat. Here, I'll send this to you, Dylan, so you can share. Dylan, do we want to try the party? Hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody in there? I am talking. Are you, Dylan? Did I mute myself? Alright, Dylan. Sorry for this, folks.
Not be racing.
Alright, I'm here.
Alrighty.
Welcome everybody to the WEC WEC, the WEC Fuji race. I am Pecan36, and here I am with my partner, Dylan4243. Dylan, how are you doing today?
I am doing terrific. Hopefully PlayStation deals with us while we are in a party. Supposedly there have been some glitches with that, but I am very excited for a race. Rain was thought to be a factor for this weekend, but thankfully it has stayed dry, and the entire session will be dry with some varying levels of cloud cover.
Sniffer Pig sets a really fast 136.0 that puts him on pole already. Let's see how Dale does, as that was an outlap by Dale. So Dale and Stallard are now setting their initial time lapse. Thordo Gaming joined, but let's see. SSJGZ Warrior is coming down the front stretch, seeing if this is his lap or his out lap. I'm unsure, but let's see how he does. He sets the fastest lap so far with a 135.1.
Yeah, low 35s, high 34s, if I remember correctly, should be pretty competitive. We have had a bit of an extended break due to the Easter holiday, and while the world sorts itself out with the pandemic happening, these drivers have had ample time to get their cars prepared for this week's race. So, Hefty coming down the long front straight where we'll see the LMP1 cars really stretch their legs with their hybrid power. He is up on his lap time, and he will set a 1:35.980, so he's almost a full second behind Warrior, who's currently running in first, but that does put him up into second place. It'll be interesting to see where the Cuddly Koala ends up in this qualifying session, as before joining the party, I heard him say that he was going to do some race practice, just load the race setup and get used to one final time of how the car handles, as Stallard goes off in turn 2. Though Stallard is struggling a little bit with the car. Your point standings in GTE, this is a double points round because it is an endurance round. Your point standing is the 67 of Warrior in the lead with 93 points. Second place is the 64 of Dale, who is currently on screen for my stream, with 69 points. And third place is Koala with 61. Then Snipper with 55, and then the Ferraris are struggling behind with Stallard, 34 points, and Hefty with 32 points. 50 points for the win today. Pecan, you there? And yeah, folks, I hear some crackling. But I do not hear Pecan, so. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still Warrior, who improved to a 34.4. That is a flying. With a 36.153, so very tight second through fourth, as Stallard is still getting warmed up.
Alright, Dylan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Alright, I am back. I don't know what's going on with my mic there, but I will try to get that issue resolved as best as I can. But while all that was going on, we lost Dale the Whale. We lost Dale the Whale from our qualifying session. Snipper Pig's teammate in the Chevy Corvette. Let's see if Stallard can improve on his time. And Stallard is going to set. He doesn't improve on his time. Snipper Pig does improve on his time. He gets up to P2 with a 135.6. But as it stands right now, we are now under a minute to go in the qualifying session. Can anyone get up to Warrior's time with a 134.4? As right now, he looks like to be the class of the field for GTE. Hefty Bag coming down the front straight now. Let's see what he does. He doesn't improve on his time, so he's going to try and go for one more lap as we're going to head to the Cuddly Koala here, who's now coming through. He's about to come through the penultimate corner here. So Dylan, what advice would you give to the GTE drivers driving here at Fuji?
My advice would definitely be that tire management is going to be crucial. This is definitely a high tire wear track, as the first sector is mainly straights, but after that it gets very twisty. Sector 2 is a lot of high-speed, high-load corners, and then the third sector is incredibly tricky, as we see Snipper in one of the Ferraris, pretty sure it's Stallard, side drafting each other down the front straight. Snipper does improve his time, will not improve his position. So your GTE grid is not quite finished yet, as Hefty's still out.
Hefty Bag still is trying to finish his lap. But the GTEs are now done, and the LMP2 cars are now out on the track. We are missing one driver today for the LMP2 class, and that is Intersport. So we don't know if he will join us when it's time for the race. Hefty Bag does improve on his time. He gets a 135.8.
Yeah, improves his time, but not his position, unfortunately. So your GTE grid will be SSJ Warrior, Snipper Pig, Hefty, Koala, the Cuddly Koala, and Stallard. If Dale can join back in the next 18 minutes, he will be able to start the race, but will be forced to start from the back of the grid.
Right now, as it stands, it looks like Warrior, his pace, he's just going to run away with it, but that battle from all the way from P2 to P5, it looks like it's going to be quite a race. And Cone Dodger spins. Cone Dodger spins out on his hot lap attempt. So that will definitely be something to watch for, as that turn 1 and turn 2, as I have been told, is a very tricky corner, and you can spin out there pretty easily.
Yeah, indeed. The turn 1 is just a discussion because right when you hit the apex, the track falls away from you as it dives down towards turn 2. And turn 2 is the big talking point this week with track limits, as sometimes it's a very difficult high-speed corner, and if you don't get the turn in just right, the car pushes out and it doesn't want to turn in, and it's very easy for the drivers to run wide.
Just got a word from one of the LMP2 drivers, as even though Intersport cannot be here for the race, he is watching the race, maybe hoping that Cone Dodger has a lot more of those spins, as we would like to thank you, Intersport, for watching the race, and we hope you're doing well, and we miss you. Making his debut today for the WEC series is Thordo Gaming. He is a former S3M race steward and used to race in their WEC series. He will also be driving in the Indy 500 that the UDL will be having on May 24th, as he will be driving in one of the Andretti Auto Sports cars. But today he is making his debut in the WEC class, as he will be driving for the team of, I believe it's Daniel and Spidey's team. Is that correct?
Yes. We will be, the current points table does not have a team championship standing on it yet, but we will have that for the next round in 2 weeks at Road America, which will be the third sprint round.
Now that should be a very fun race, as Road America is, in my personal opinion, one of the best tracks that you can ever race on and to go watch a race. as
Indeed.
Cone Dodger has another spin out. So this is going to be quite a thing to watch. I don't know if he's trying to push the car a little bit much or if he's just having trouble there, but Cone Dodger is having a lot of trouble. I don't know if he's trying to find heat into those tires or what, but Cone Dodger, that is his second spin out this qualifying session. So
Yeah.
not a good session from him so far.
Yeah, struggling to keep that car underneath him. Interestingly enough, Big R is heading out onto the track for the first time.
This is the second
Halfway
time.
through
He
his
was
session.
out on the track once, but he came back in. I don't know if there was something that he wasn't a big fan of or what, but he definitely was on the track at the start when the LMP2 started. I am still hungry. I need to eat. So today our sponsor is Domino's Pizza, as we thank you for filling my needs. So I'm going to let Dylan talk here, and I'm going to eat really quick, but I will still control the cameras. As, are you following Big R or Cone Dodger right now,
I'm
Dylan?
currently on Cone to see if
Alright.
he can put a lap together. This lap seems to be a lot more neat and tidy, but he still has that very tricky third sector to go through, which is where he lost it last lap around. In LMP2, the points championship is definitely Cone's, as Intersport is not here. Cone said he might not run just to make the championship more competitive, as Cone almost loses it coming over the crest of that very tricky tightening corner, and he loses it coming onto the front straight. So yeah, Cone is not able to keep the car beneath him as he returns back to the pits to make some last minute changes on the setup. Meanwhile, Thordo with a 1:31.1 seems complacent with that, as Big R has started his first flying lap. We'll see what he is able to do as Cone is coming back out of the pits. 3 minutes left on this session, so enough time for drivers to complete the lap they have and do 2 more. Cone may only get 1 more flyer depending on how fast his outlap is. Big R right there showing the very edge of the track limits. The ruling is you have to keep at least 2 tires on the red and white curbs. You cannot go 4 off into the grass, or else that will be a track limit warning. Cuddly Koala is still on track limits probation for the next 2 races after his incident at Silverstone. Speaking of GTE, the storyline is who can beat the Fords. Well, Koala won the first 2 races. His teammate Warrior won the Koala won the first race at Circuit of the Americas. Warrior is on a 2-race winning streak and seems to have the class mastered today, as Ford is undefeated this season so far.
Here comes Big R now down the straightaway. Let's see what he can do on his time. This will be his first time lap. He sets a really good lap with a 1:31.8. That is good enough for P2 at the time being, as we are now meeting the 1 minute and halfway mark. Cone Dodger, I believe this is his out lap.
Yes. So each driver will have this lap, and Cone can't afford a mistake or else his qualifying session is over. If he has another spin, he will not have enough time to do another lap, to where if he has a clean lap, he'll cross the line with a couple seconds remaining.
This is the lap that he needs to do it on. Now, the one thing I do know about this game is that sometimes the curves, when you drive on them, can feel a lot like ice. So the curbs in this game are definitely something you want to avoid as much as you can.
Yeah,
But
especially this track. This track is renowned for the curbs are very inviting here, and they are all very, very treacherous. Cone overcooks the hairpin coming into the chicane a little bit. His lap is still on though. This would give him pole if he can keep it together through this final sector.
And he does. But we don't want to jinx him just yet. Let's see how he does coming out of this final corner. He takes a very easy approach into that corner. Big R does not improve on his time, but he does have one more lap as he chooses to abort it. Cone Dodger, if he wants to, he will get another chance to make another run at trying to take pole from Thordo, but he takes it anyway. So with a 130.1, bad news for Intersport who's watching the race. That's definitely not something he wants to see, as the LMP2 classes is now done. But Cone Dodger does have another lap. He is allowed to set one more lap. He's not up on his time. But the LMP1 classes are now allowed to go out onto the track. So LMP1 has now gone underway, as it looks like John is the first one out of the pits. So we will go right back to John here really quick as soon as we get done with Cone Dodger's lab. Let's go on board here with Cone Dodger. See the mastery of this car. Beautiful cockpit, I shall say. This track has a gorgeous mountain, like a gorgeous backdrop.
Mount Fuji is definitely one of the highlights of this amazing circuit in Japan. One of the iconic marks on the WEC schedule.
And he improves his time with a 129.7. So Cone Dodger will take provisional pole in the LMP2 class, followed by Thordo Gaming and Big R. John will be the first one out of the LMP1 class to set a lap, but these are their out laps, ladies and gentlemen. So the times that you are seeing that are now being set, these aren't their official times. Here, trying to get the order that they are all in, but it looks like it's John,
Texas definitely had the, it's John, Texas, Damage,
Driver, Spidey, and I believe that is Daniel. That is the last one out of this group. So we are going to go to John here, who will be the first one to set a lap, and then we'll get back to Texas and Damage.
And John overputs the hairpin. It's a very difficult corner, that hairpin. The entry is very intriguing. As John gets on those curves, you can see just how slick they are. The hairpin at the end of the back straight here, very wide entry. You can possibly even make it 3 or 4 wide, we might see during this race, but it tightens up to where it's a single lane groove through that chicane. You're going to lose tremendous amounts of time going too wide.
John right now coming down the straight with a very fast Texas right behind him. Texas is still trying to recover from his race at Zhuhai, as he did not have a good Zhuhai race at all. Damage improves on his time with a 121.4. Let's see what Driver does. Driver sets a 122.4. Spidey, let's see what he does. He sets a 120.8. And Daniel, the race winner from Zhuhai, he improves on his time with a 120.6.
Speaking of Zhuhai, in case you missed it, our championship leader, the #1 of Texas in the Porsche, had a miserable race to forget in the torrential rain, finishing in last place. Meanwhile, Daniel capitalized on this, and the championship lead is down to 10 points. The points for this race is first place gets 50, second place gets 36. So that 14-point difference could easily result in a championship lead switch, as the gap from first to last for this race is 34 points. So theoretically, the top 4 drivers in this field could all have a shot of leading with the championship.
John doesn't improve on his time at all, so he will do another lap to improve on his time, but as of right now, he sits in 6th place in LMP1 with a 1:23.2. Driver does improve on his time. Let's see how Daniel does here. I don't think Daniel went back into the pits, so this is another hot lap attempt by the race winner of Zhuhai. We see Texas is now starting his other hot lap attempt. We're going to go back to John here. John desperately trying to improve on his time. It looks like he's having a lot of trouble with that really slow chicane. So that chicane has definitely been giving him some fits in this. So that's going to be something to watch for in this race.
As Texas and Damage both missed the second corner, did not get the turn-in correct, went wide. The lap time would have been invalidated by stewards anyhow had they stuck with it and improved. But usually, if you run wide in the second sector here, it's not great lap time.
John improves on his lap massively with a 1:20.9. And Daniel, the race winner from Zhuhai, it looks like he had a spin out coming through one of the corners there. So, and he ran out of fuel. Actually, he ran out of fuel. So he would come back into the pits to come get some more fuel. As right now, the only guy left that is setting a hot lap at this current time is Spidey. We are now at the 3.5-minute mark to go, as we will follow Spidey here. Can he improve on his time and take that pole position away from Texas? As I think that was a hot lap.
Was an out lap.
Yeah, it was an out lap, as that was 15 seconds off pace. Don't know if that was a spin out or a out lap. Follow Texas here. John had a spin out over there around the corner. Texas trying to improve on his time. That was an out lap. Damage, oh yes, so Damage and Texas both went off the track. So these are out laps for Texas and Damage.
Spidey comes to the end of the sector. He is well down on his time, so saving the hybrid for his next lap. John has a little bit of a wiggle coming out of turn 1. You can just see how hard these drivers are pushing. As he gets right on the edge of that curb at the exit of turn 2, so that cost him a tenth or two, which is all he needs to be able to jump up to second. Second, third, and fourth are very close right now.
We are now under the 2-minute mark of qualifying, folks. As Texas time is coming around now, he's going to try and improve on his time massively. He still sits in provisional pole. Don't know as soon as he's done with this lap as if he's going to try and make it back out to set one more lap. Let's see how Texas does here. He does. He sets a new fastest lap with a 1:19.8. See how Mr. Damage does. Can Damage improve on his time? He does not improve on his time, but he does have one more lap if he wants to set one. John, I think, will probably set one more lap as well. Driver currently sitting in P6 in the LMP1 field. Can driver improve on his time? He does not, but he also has one more lap to do. It looks like Daniel went way off the track there, but he also has a chance to set one more lap. Let's see what Spidey does here. Can Spidey improve on his time? He does, but still can't beat out Daniel. don't know if Daniel, I would probably just abort the lap with here, because if Daniel is faster than Spidey, he's kind of in the way. So let's see how it goes here. Damage is coming around, because I believe that's John behind him.
It is. John's still struggling with the mechanical grip in that Audi.
3, 2, 1. As qualifying is now over, Damage was not improving on his time, so he decided to abort his lap. Let's see, can John do anything better? Can he improve on his time? And he does not. John does not improve on his time, so as it currently stands, he currently sits in P4 with a 120.9. Can Driver improve on his time? He does not improve on his time.
Alrighty, last challenger for pole position. Will Daniel be able to take it from Texas?
And
he aborts it before the lines, though.
So Texas time will take pole position here in the Fuji GP. Cone Dodger will take P1 out of the LMP2 class, and in the GTE class, it is Warrior. So Dylan, your thoughts on the qualifying session?
It's interesting to see how the top runners in the championship are the top runners in qualifying for each of the races. However, we have seen, most recently at Zhuhai, but we've seen a couple instances throughout the championship season how that doesn't necessarily mean they'll have the consistency for the pace. I think Cone, if he does run this race, we'll have to see if he does. Hopefully he does. It'll be very interesting to see whether he can keep his car beneath him, as he was struggling massively in qualifying to do that.
I believe that is your car on the grid, Dylan. That is causing a massive glitch on my screen.
Apologies for that. I have retired and spectated. As we are doing that, just for...
I will go down the grid here pretty soon once we get the cars rolling, so we can get a good look at each and one of the cars. So this is the endurance race. 2.5 hours is the time limit for this race. So, Dylan, your thoughts on who's going to take it home in the LMP2 out of the LMP1, out of all of the classes?
In LMP1, I'm putting my money on Daniel. He's been growing and growing as a driver. He's gotten more and more consistent. And I think he's definitely going to take a fight to the Porsche. It'll be interesting to see how they handle traffic, as the Audi drivers have made it abundant throughout the season that they are definitely the most risk-taking and able to make up the most times in traffic. In LMP2, I think Cone has the pace, even if he doesn't have the consistency, as Cone has retired from this race, unfortunately.
We've also lost Spidey as well. We have lost Spidey as well. So Spidey, I don't know if he didn't get ready. I don't know what it was, but Spidey we have also lost him. So we've lost 2 drivers in the process. We have lost Cone Dodger and Spidey. So Driver is going to have to do it all by... Well, no, Spidey is Daniel's teammate, correct?
Spidey is in the Porsche.
So he's Driver's teammate. No, he's Texas's teammate, right?
Yes.
So we have lost...
Texas is a lone wolf.
So Texas is by himself. He will not have his teammate in this race. So we're going to go down the grid here really quick. It is Texas time in LMP1 on pole, followed by Daniel with Jonathan and Damage in row 2. And in row 3 by himself, it is Driver, and that completes the LMP1 class. We have Thordo Gaming making his debut today, and he will be racing against Big R and out of the LMP2 class. And then in GTE, we have a full grid in GTE, followed by Warrior in the Ford, Snipper Pig in the Chevrolet Corvette, Hefty Bag in the Ferrari, the Cuddly Koala in the Ford, Stallard in the Ferrari, and Dale the Whale, who did not set a full time in the Chevy Corvette. So the drivers are now gridding up. LMP1s are now gridding up. So we are getting close to green, folks. So here we go.
Is formed nicely.
As Texas has them slowed down all the way to almost a standstill as they are patiently waiting for the lights to come on to start this race.
Long front straight here. Drivers doing very well to stay patient. Lights are on. They're green and we're underway.
As Daniel gets a great start, he jumps all the way up into P1 already. Can Texas defend? It looks like he has him beat going down the line, but Texas takes a better line into turn 1. But Daniel gets him back and takes P1. That completes it. Thordo gets out in front of Big R. Let's see how Warrior and Snipper Pig does here in the GTE class, as Warrior gets a really good start. Nothing wrong there. Let's see how Snipper Pig does. Can he get a good line coming out of the corner? Hefty Bag follows suit into P3 with Cuddly Koala in P4, Dale the Whale in P5, and Stallard in P6. Daniel right now holds the lead in P1 with Texas behind him. He did not get off to a good start at all. So Daniel has taken advantage of the poor start from the current points leader, as Daniel is trying to jump Texas in the point spots.
So Daniel and Texas stretching their legs out a little bit at the front of the field, as John and Daniel might be running to a pace.
He's got a good run. He's got a good run. He got the slipstream. He's going to go to the right side of Daniel here. Takes a good line, but was it enough? No, Daniel, he did not get a good line, and Daniel will retake the lead.
Meanwhile, in GTE, it's still Warrior over Snipper, Hefty in third, Koala in fourth, Dale is up to fifth, and Stallard has fallen back to sixth in the Ferrari as they complete their first lap. Every 6 or 7 laps we should be encountering lap traffic, as that'll be a little bit shorter the first lap around, as there was a class split. So it looks like the Porsche has the straight line speed, while the Toyota is able to stretch its legs in the twisty bits. One thing to keep in mind is each prototype is in a different subclass, as the Porsche is able to use 8 megajoules per lap at Le Mans, Toyota uses 6, and the Audi only uses 4, and that is readjusted due to track length. So let's say this track is half the length of Le Mans, they can have half of the boost of Le Mans, as Daniel is swerving on the front straight trying to break the draft that Texas is getting off of.
He's getting a really good slipstream here. It looks like that Porsche has a lot of front, it has a lot of speed. Don't know if he has no downforce. As he wiggles off the track, he goes off the track, comes back on to defend his spot from Texas here. Doesn't really block him though, so it was a legal move. In the LMP2 class, Thordo right now holds a nice lead over Big R, as Big R is trying to chase down Thordo, who's making his debut today in the LMP2 class. Warrior still holds the lead in the GTE class, as it looks like Dale the Whale is trying to make a move on the Cuddly Koala here for P4. They're racing each other side by side going down the straight. And can Dale make a move onto the Koala? Can he? It looks like he does, but he's not all the way cleared yet. but it looks like he does clear him. So Dale does get in front of the Cuddly Koala there. We jump back to the LMP1 class with Daniel still in the lead, followed by Texas Time right behind him. And Texas Time got a great run there. He is he's right on the back of Daniel there. And it looks like Driver is trying to chase down Mr. Damage for that P4 spot.
One thing that is very interesting is...
and they made contact! They made contact as Driver has taken out Mr. Damage. As Damage is not going to be happy about that.
Yeah, you can see him talking in the voice chat in the game, so that might very well be under post-race review, especially since Pecan was able to catch that on his stream. One thing that I was about to say that's interesting, it looks like Texas rolled out of the throttle a little bit early heading into turn 1. I'm wondering if Texas is on a fuel save strategy, trying to do one less pit stop. It's an easy 2-stop for the GTE cars, but the LMP2s and LMP1s might be on a 3 or 4 stop strategy. It'll be close to see what they can do.
As it looks right now, I think one of the stewards is looking into a possible drive-through penalty for Driver there. As Texas is going for the lead here on Daniel, they make contact a little bit. He doesn't have them all the way cleared. Texas got a good run though coming out of turn 2. But not enough, as right now we have a very good battle for P1 between the top 2 drivers in the point standings of the LMP1 class.
As if one of these drivers wins the race, they will leave with the championship lead as they are closing in on the GTE battle.
They are now coming up to the GTE cars. Warrior still holds a very firm lead in that class as they have now caught up to the back of Stollard here. Slows down Daniel a little bit. This is going to give Texas an amazing run as he did not get held up by the Ferrari of Stollard, as Texas has now taken the lead, as Texas is going to use that to his advantage as they now have the Chevrolet car right there on the side, as I believe that is Dale the Whale. But Daniel gets a good line. He gets a great run coming out of the corner as he's trying to battle back and take back the lead with Texas right in front. Right now, as I believe Dylan is looking back at the footage, and it looks like we have a spin out, as that is Snipper Pig. Snipper Pig has spun out. Snipper Pig has spun out. He was
very
in P2.
Unfortunate for him. Yeah, spinning out of a solid podium position in GTE, as Texas and Dan have seemed to have come together in the hairpin in the chicane. Both cars went off as another car goes off, entering the hairpin as possible contact from John behind. Leaders are side by side heading through Sector 3. Texas on the inside, Daniel on the outside, trying to hang it together. They make more contact. Daniel's going to have the inside line.
They are elbows out here in these cars and trading spots. This is really good racing from both of them, not wanting to give an inch. It looks like Daniel was trying to use a pig, but he couldn't get it to work as Texas was just faster than him there on the straight. Texas is now in front. They are side by side. This is really good racing from both of these LMP1 drivers. Texas gets a way better line coming out of turn 2 as Texas still holds the lead right in front of him.
Yeah, Dan runs a little bit wide coming out of turn 2, using the track limits to their fullest. as Damage has not pitted yet, and he has gotten back past Driver. Meanwhile, in LMP2, Thordo still leads over Big R by about 3 or 4 seconds or so. They're running a lonely race. Warrior still leads over Hefty and Koala benefiting from Snipper's spin, as is Stallard. So, phenomenal battle up front. Now that Texas is in the lead, we'll see if he can stretch his legs.
We're going to go back to the battle here between Daniel and Texas, but as it looks like Texas right now is just, he's crawling himself away from Daniel here.
Yeah, that gap's already up to 1.5 seconds. Wonder if Daniel got a little bit of damage from that contact that he had, possibly. Officials may have a look at that post-race, but for the most part it looked pretty much like Rubbin's racing. As the closest battle now might actually...
It still looks like it's the battle for the lead, I believe. That's the closest battle going on, but the other battle to watch for is how is Snipper Pig going to do after he had a spin out there in the GTE class, as we know he has a lot of pace, as it looks like Daniel goes a little bit wide.
He is closing, Snipper is closing in on Texas, as the top of the LMP1 field is in the middle of the shrunken LMP2 field of 2 drivers this week.
Right now, Thordo is holding his own very well. But that straight line speed, I think, is helping him out tremendously with Daniel out of the draft of Texas time. So right now, instead of just pure race pace, I think Daniel is going to have to make some type of strategy call to be able to beat Texas time here, and he's going to have to think of something.
Indeed. That's one thing. Texas might have given up on his fuel save strategy, might not like the fuel numbers he was able to get, and is now just going as fast as he can, to where Daniel might be running a little bit more conservative strategy. Again, tire preservation is going to be crucial throughout the stint. It's very easy to wear out the fronts at this track and just have a car that pushes more and more, putting more and more strain through the run, as Snipper is now closed in on Stallard for the final of the GTE positions.
Snipper Pig was running in P2 at one point, and then he had a spin out, so we know he has the pace, but can he use that pace to get back all the way up to where he was at? I don't think anyone can be able to beat Warrior in this field out of the GTE class, but he definitely has pace to possibly maybe get into that podium spot, as right now the drivers are locked in, ready to run their races, as strategy will definitely come into play. But we're definitely going to be watching Snipper Pig here, the current F1 points leader right now, as trying to make a move on Stallard there, it looked like, but I don't know if he was just trying to make a move or just trying to tuck in behind.
Yeah, as a GTE driver, former GTE driver, the third sector is very difficult to make a move in GTE. Your best bet is obviously turn 1 after a very long front straight. Score out this last corner and get a good run onto the front straight, as it looks like Snipper wasn't quite able to do that, but he will be using the draft to his advantage. Your second best passing opportunity, I would say, is likely going to be the entrance into turn 4 after the turn 3 carousel.
Snipper has a lot of straight line speed going down that straight. He just caught up to Stallard massively there going down the straight, so it looks like Snipper Pig doesn't have a lot of downforce on that car, but he has caught up to Stallard massively. Going for a move here on Stallard, and he does. He gets past the Ferrari of Stallard there. So Snipper Pig has taken back P4. So, I meant P5 in the GTE class. So he is going to try his best to get back up into a podium spot, and let's see if he can possibly catch up to the Cuddly Koala, who has not had a very good race. A very good past 2 races for him. It has not gone his way, or the way that he would like, after winning the Circuit of the Americas sprint race, as he got a great start to the year, but so far it has not been very well for him.
And got that win at Coda, but the season has fallen away from him a little bit as the season has progressed. See if he is able to rebound. Right now it's not looking like he has one of the strongest cars as his teammate pulls away from the field, but we'll see how the cars handle in the long stint, as we're just now going across the first 15 minutes of this 2.5-hour race.
Looks like the Cuddly Koala has caught up to Dale the Whale here by a bit. So this is the battle for the final podium spot here in the GTE class, as the Cuddly Koala is definitely trying to catch up to Dale here. Now, Koala's hopes going into this race, as he has said before the race started that this is not one of his best tracks. But after the spin out by Snapper Pig, I think if he can salvage anything and take a podium spot here, I would think that that's a very successful race for his standards of today's race.
Yeah, indeed. If I remember correctly, this is not one of Koala's favorite tracks, so if he can manage a podium position, I think he'll be happy with that, as he's currently behind. The only other person he's behind in the championship is Dale. So, if he can get past Dale, he will be happy with that result. Ideally, he'd like to be, if he could pick which Ford wins the championship, it would be his. But if he's able to get second place behind his teammate and earn a 1-2 for Ford in the championship, I think he'd be happy with that result.
Right now, the Ford of Cuddly Koala is still trying to chase down Dale the Whale. It does look like Daniel is catching up to Texas time here. As we read the timing screens, it feels like Daniel...
As Pecan was saying, Daniel looks like he has been able to close a little bit of that gap up into the GTE traffic. Still not great, Pecan. Though it looks like Texas has the overall pace in clean air, but Daniel, I caught on my stream him going around the outside of Dale at that kink on the back straight, being pushed very far wide by the Corvette earlier. And looks like Dan, is a little bit more risky in traffic than Texas is. Meanwhile, John is running in a very lonely third place.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Having problems with my mic. I apologize about that. Driver has left the session, folks, as driver has left the session. So we are now down to 4 cars in the LMP1 class. So driver has retired from the race.
Yeah, very unfortunate to see that, as the attrition tonight has been very high. Started with 15, already down to 12.
Daniel did not get a good run out of that corner at all. Because Koala is still right on the back of Dale the Whale here. This is for the final podium spot in the GTE class. But we still have 2 hours and 10 minutes to go, so there's still a lot of racing to be done here.
Indeed, still have over double the length of the Sioux High race left. Just under double, actually. As Dale is also swerving down the front straight, trying to break the draft. Not blocking. Koala's definitely not close enough to make a maneuver, but is close enough to capitalize on that draft.
Koala did just beat his best lap as he was 3/10 up on his best lap of the race.
Looking at previous laps and best laps, Dan is right there with Texas. It's swinging a tenth or two either way, depending on who has a cleaner lap. So it's definitely might come down to who catches traffic where.
I also have to think that there's definitely a strategy that is being played between the two LMP1 drivers, because as it stands, it feels like he's like catching him like throughout the corners, but as soon as he gets on to that straight, he just loses any time that he has gained on the LMP1 car of Texas time. So it's definitely going to be, I think, a huge strategy call. But Daniel just has caught up tremendously. I don't know if they ran into a car or if Texas had some trouble there. And Daniel goes very wide off the track there.
Seems like Daniel can close into about a second or so before he makes a mistake and falls back, and then Texas makes a mistake and falls back into Daniel's rests, as Koala is now right on the back of Dale, heading through turn 3, looking for clean air, running a little bit wide. As while the GTE cars have the least amount of downforce in the grid, they are still very high-tech machines with a lot of downforce. So.
Right now, Daniel is just hoping for any type of mistake here. But just like I was saying, as you reiterated, it just feels like Daniel has the better runs throughout these corners, but as soon as he gets onto the straights or any type of little patch of just straight where you don't have to brake, Texas just pulls away massively. So Daniel definitely has the car in the corners, but he just loses it anytime that Texas can just put the throttle down and just rev that engine up and just speed. So I definitely think strategy is going to play into this race massively.
Yeah, definitely will. Seems like Koala has the straight line speed. Is able to close up on the back straight as Dale runs a little bit wide through turn 2. Koala able to catch on the back straight and heading into both of the hairpins on either side of the track. Is right there, but through these twisty bits, seems like he just can't quite get the car to handle how he wants.
hoping for any type of mistake that Dale will make, and he gets it. He gets the mistake that that I was just saying that he needed, as he now gets around Dale the Whale. He misses the hairpin corner, that really hard chicane, misses his braking point, as Cuddly Koala now gets up into P3 in the GTE podium spot, but Dale the Whale still gets a good run out of the corner, as he has a really good draft here. Can he make a move?
He got a good run using that slipstream. Looks to the inside.
He's gonna go
Paul
to the
has
inside.
to hold his line. Not quite
Doesn't
there.
clear him though. That Ford has, I think, just a little bit more of a nice boost. But that's not what Dale the Whale wanted. This is, so far, 26 minutes in, this has not gone well for the Chevrolets at all. So this has not been the race that the Chevy drivers have been wanting to have.
Yeah, Chevy drivers have unfortunately not had the best of luck in Asian races in real life, as Dale goes extremely wide coming onto the back straight. Whether it be in real life or in Project Cars 2, they did manage to scrape a second and third together last week, 3 weekends ago at Zhuhai at the last race. Definitely need to start capitalizing on points if they want to flat the championship.
And right now the stewards are possibly looking into giving Dale the Whale a possible warning here for track limits. As right now, Texas Time is battling through the LMP2 drivers, as Cuddly Koala cuts right inside of Daniel there. Daniel has to be furious.
Yeah, again, traffic giveth, traffic taketh. As the stewards are sending out a warning for track limits for Dale.
So this is pretty much the battle for the lead in the point standings as well. In the LMP1 class, as what, there's a 10-point gap between Daniel and Texas Time, I believe?
Yes, Texas is 10 points ahead, and the payoff between first and second for this race is 14 points. So whoever wins this race will leave with the points standings if it's Texas, with the championship lead if it's Texas or Daniel. John and Damage are at 49 and 48 points, as they are struggling in these early stages of the championship. But the Audis have made it no secret that they're looking forward to Le Mans and some of the other racetracks coming forward later in the season. With Spidey not being able to make the start of the race, we'll have to see whether or not he'll get points for last place, as he likely will. Even with him,
go on.
Even with Spidey getting, if Spidey does get points for last place, Spidey will stay in third place unless if John is able to get up into second place. Even then, with a second place finish, yeah, it'll take second for John to be able to jump up to third in the championship.
We're going to head to a class that we haven't really talked to a lot today, but Gordo Gaming, who is making his debut today in the LMP2 class, taking over for the LMP2 driver of Racer X, as Racer X is not in the series anymore. He was taken over from the seat of Glenn Coco, who is not a UDL series driver anymore. But Thordo today, so far in his debut, even though with Cone Dodger not making the race, Thordo is running a really good race today, as he will be looking in his first race for the WEC Series of getting a victory today if he doesn't have any issues at all, as it looks like Big R again just hasn't had quite the pace in LMP2 to be able to make a good run at Thordo Gaming at all. So we definitely want to give some props here to Thordo for having a good race today as it stands.
Big R's definitely a lot more on pace with this track. He's been able to have the first 30 minutes clean for him, knock on wood, as we're coming up to the 30-minute mark in this race, which has been one of Big R's struggles this season. It hasn't ever been his fault directly, but he's always been caught up, whether it be in GTE cars, trying to get a jump on him to get traffic between them and their competitors, or whether it just be getting caught up in LMP1 or connection issues. Big R's arguably the unluckiest driver in the field, as it looks like Texas is about to put in his fastest lap of the race.
Texas coming down the straight, he is starting to pull away from Daniel here, so you have to think that this is definitely going to be a strategy-driven race with Daniel, as he's going to try and do anything that he can to possibly get back up in front. So Daniel is either hoping for a huge mistake here from Texas time, or he's going to have to possibly beat him out on strategy, as it just looks like Texas is the fastest driver out of the LMP1 class. So he's definitely going to have to play strategy or hope for an incident of some sort to get in front.
Indeed. We've seen so far this race, and possibly throughout the season, Daniel's able to cut through traffic better than Texas is. However, with the attrition that we've been seeing today, Texas is likely going to be able to pull out quite a bit. He'll be able to cover his lack of confidence in traffic as Big R accidentally squeezes in there. He'll be able to pull away before he hits the GTE field. Is really LMP2 cars won't be too much of a headache, but the GTE cars, especially if they're coming up in a battle in GTE.
We're going to go back to the GTE class. Can you hear me, Dylan?
Yes.
Okay, so we are going back to the GTE class here with Dale the Whale and the Cuddly Koala. So Cuddly Koala was able to get in front of Dale the Whale in this corner that you just saw, that really slow chicane, as Dale the Whale missed his braking zone, which then allowed the Cuddly Koala to get out in front. As right now it looks like Dale the Whale has caught up to the back of the Ford of the Cuddly Koala, so he's going to hope for a really good exit here to try and get into the slipstream, but I believe the Ford has more top speed on the straights.
Yeah, with the slipstream, the Corvette might have a little bit of an advantage, but you can see it's not much. And in clean air, the Ford definitely has the straight line advantage over the Corvette. So Koala taking a bit of a defensive line through there. Let's see if Dale is able to capitalize as he puts the power down, back end, steps out on him just a little bit, heading through this treacherous turn 2.
We are now under the 2-hour mark left of this endurance race, ladies and gentlemen. To give you a little bit of a recap of what has happened so far, Texas did not get a great start, as Daniel took advantage of that and was out in front for the first 4 or 5 laps, but Texas and Daniel were battling it out quite a lot, and Texas was able to take the lead, and so far he has been in the lead for almost all of the whole entire race once he took the lead from Daniel in the LMP1 class. Driver and Damage were running in 5th and 6th place as Driver made contact with Damage, as Damage was then able to, as
Dale's into the pit. No,
he's not. He's just taking another line, maybe seeing that getting out of the slipstream would work to his advantage there. I don't think it will.
What that might have been is just him saying, hey, I know I ran wide, I'm not going to use the slipstream to lose the time that I gained by running wide. I'm not quite sure what he did there, but he will need to turn his lights back on.
But to give you guys the recap, out of LMP1, Damage and Driver made contact with each other, as their incident will be looked at post-race. And then Spidey was not able to make it into the field. Driver then retired from the race. Out of the LMP2 group, Thordo Gaming got a great start, as he has been in the lead for the whole entire race for LMP2, as Big R has fallen off massively. Warrior got a great start out of the GTE class, as Sniffer Pig, who qualified in P2 in the GTE class, spun out. He spun out, and it brought him all the way down into P6, as he has now recovered a bit, got himself back up to P6. Dale the Whale, who started in P6, was able to get himself into P3, but he missed his braking point, as that has allowed the Cuddly Koala to get out in front of him to take P3. So that is our recap of the race so far, as we will be back for more recaps as the race goes on. But that is your 35-minute recap of what has happened in this race. We head back now to the battle between Dale the Whale and the Cuddly Koala in the GTE class. This is by far the only battle in the race so far that is close.
Yeah, at the moment, Texas again in that clean air, able to stretch his lead over Daniel.
But as it looks like in the timings, it just looks like Dan pulls on him in the corners massively, but any type of shoot or straight, Texas just pulls out in front. So that car has a lot of speed.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that might be is that Texas might just have a better hybrid output. He might be able to deploy his hybrid energy more efficiently than Daniel can, as these cars are not like the 2014 generation cars. These are the 2016 models, which require manual deployment of the hybrid.
It's been a very quiet race from the Audi team of John and Damage. As I said earlier, Damage and Driver were involved in an incident that had Damage all the way turned in turn 1, but he has recovered and gotten back up to P4, as right now John still sits in that last podium spot of the LMP2 class. LMP1 class, sorry.
Indeed. Starting to stretch out here a little bit as everyone gets into their rhythms.
It looks like the LMP2 of Thoro Gaming is catching up to the back of Dale the Whale here in the GTE car. This is for the final podium spot in the GTE class.
I have to think that Damage has not pitted I don't believe he has, which would explain that incident that he had with Driver must have given him some aero damage and knocked off a few dive planes or something, because his fastest lap is over a second. It's almost 2 seconds slower than Texas's fastest lap, who currently has the fastest lap of the race in LMP1. In LMP2, it's Thordo, who I believe just improved his fastest lap of the race last lap. Indeed, he did, using the draft off the GTE cards on the front straight. Speaking of GTE, in GTE, the fastest lap of the race is your leader, Warrior, with a 35.5. However, Hefty in second, able to do a 35.9, so very close. Snipper, trying to recover from that spin, has the second fastest lap with a 35.6. So it'll be interesting to see whether Snipper is able to climb back up to this battle between Koala and Dale. Maybe pick up the pieces should anything happen. Looking to recover to a podium, as he's now almost the whole back straight behind.
Looks like he did not get a good exit. Cuddly Koala did not get a good exit coming out of the chicane there. Can Dale the Whale take advantage of the mistake from the Cuddly Koala? Still in a way faster car on that straight, as that Ford has a lot of straight line speed.
Yeah, you can definitely see that Ford's able to stretch its legs. One thing that might be coming into play here, as GTE cars, pit windows should be opening up for prototypes very soon. As Texas only has 12 liters left, 12.8 it looks like.
John has 3.8 liters left. Damage has 4.9 liters left in his car. So it looks like John will be the first one to pit out of the LMP1 class, as Big R is now the first driver to pit out of the LMP2 class. As it's
pitting a little bit early, but he might just be wanting to get a little bit of an undercut on Thordo. Once your pit window opens, you have a little bit of room to work with before you need to make an extra pit stop for pitting so early. One thing we might be seeing though with Koala and Dale, the Ford seems to be a little bit more, seems to put a bigger strain on its tires than the Corvette or the Ferrari, due to it being so fast in a straight line, not as quick through the twisty bits.
John is now in the pits, as he is the first out of the LMP1 drivers to make a pit stop. Big R is now done with his pits, as he has come out of his pit box. I believe that is Thordo Gaming, the leader out of the LMP2 class, who is now pitting. John is now done with his pit stop, as he is coming out of the pits now. Thordo is currently pitting, so Big R is going to try and get down on that gap as best as he can to try and catch up to Thordo here.
Well, the Corvette does look stronger on the twisty bits. It seems like Koala is able to get his line up more accurate through turn 2. It seems like Dale is just struggling to get the car turned in a little bit through that high-speed corner. John has come out right in front of the leaders and actually is behind them now, as Thordo is still in pit lane, moving towards pit exit. So John is off the lead lap now due to his early pit stop.
We are now approaching the 1 hour and 3/4 mark left of this endurance race. Dale DeWale still hoping for any type of a mistake, just like he got the mistake that he needed from Dale DeWale. Now Dale DeWale is hoping that Koala makes the same mistake that he made as well. As right now the LMP1 cars are trying to battle their way through the field, as I believe that is Daniel making the pass on the GTE car there.
Koala goes wide.
As Koala goes wide. Dale DeWale trying to get a good run to battle here to get out in front. Stallard is the first of the GTE cars to pit. So Stallard is the first GTE driver to pit in this race.
As Freewood has raised the lollipop, but he's still sitting. So it might just be a graphic glitch. Meanwhile, damage is in with under a liter left, so stretching it as far as he could, able to do 45 minutes on a stint exactly, plus a pace lap.
Dale DeWale got a really good run. He's going to try and look for a move here on the Cuddly Koala. He's going to go to the inside. They're battling side by side. It's going to be a drag race down the whole entire straight. What can he do? He does get out in front. I don't think he has him cleared, but no. Koala breaks late. Beats him out a little bit, but Dale gets a really good exit, but Cuddly Koala might have even gotten a better exit. And he does, and he takes back P3. So the Cuddly Koala takes back P3. Him and Dale were battling intensely, but Koala got a really good turn in and was able to hold off the Chevy of Dale DeWale.
Very interesting to see. It sounds like both of the cars starting to spin their tires a little bit coming off of that hairpin. Because the tires are definitely getting aged. Won't see... unless if someone's really throwing darts at the wall trying to find a strategy that works, I doubt you'll see any double stinting here.
Dan still trying to close in on that gap to Texas time. He had a way faster lap than Texas time there. So that's definitely going to be something to watch. Texas will be more than likely the first one to pit, as he right now currently has 4.8 liters left of fuel. So I think Daniel is going to have to, as soon as Texas pits, he's going to have to throw everything he can when Texas pits. So this is definitely going to be a very strategy-driven call here. Who will be the first one to bite between the top two drivers in the LMP1 class?
One thing that is interesting and very unfortunate for these Audis, they will not be able to make it on two stops. Their 45-minute strategy will mean that they'll pit at the hour remaining mark, and then they'll have to make a splash with about 15 minutes remaining, where if the Toyota and Porsche, they will be the only they'll only be doing a 2 strategy, as them pitting with an hour and 40 remaining. They'll be able to pit with 50 minutes remaining, and that would be able to take them to the end. As Hefty, a second GTE car to make their call to the pits.
And the Ferrari of Hefty Bag has pitted. He has now pitted for his stop, as he was sitting in P2 out of the whole entire field. But we go back to where the battle.
Hit the 50-minute mark and pitting as early as he can to hit that mark. So GTE cars doing a two-stop strategy, and so are the LMP1s, the LMP2s, and the Audis. Unfortunately, will be on a 3-stop strategy.
Looks like Hefty Bag's pit stop is now done, as he is now coming out of the pits.
Very quick stop for that team. He took tires. He was running in a pretty solid second place when he came in, so I'm not sure why he'd take that risk.
As it looks like Cuddly Koala is trying to break the slipstream of Dale the Whale here.
Your leader will likely be pitting this lap, as he's under 1.5 liters. He might try to squeak another one by, but that'll be cutting it very close. He's past the 50-minute window, so really there's no reason why he would stay out, as he does dive for the right side of the track and will be heading into pit lane, and looks like Daniel is going to follow him in. We'll see who's able to make more time up in the pits, as Daniel is right behind Texas as they hit the speed limiter zone. So Daniel gaining a lot of time in pit entry, as Daniel goes to the wrong box.
He goes to the wrong box. Daniel makes a huge mistake, so he just made up all of that time. He pulls a Sebastian Vettel to come in as close as he can to Texas, and then he pulls a 2011 Jensen Button at China and goes into the wrong box, but he
he's
gets
out
out
first.
in front. He gets out in front, but he doesn't take as much fuel as Texas does.
He didn't fill the car. He did not fill the car. That might cost him the race.
Maybe this is a huge strategy call. This is a very interesting, because as you said, Texas is not going to be able to just two-stop this whole entire race.
Yeah, I mean, they were both able to do a two-stop. They just did a 50-minute stint plus a pace lap. So they could have easily done a two-stop strategy. But interestingly, Daniel must not have thought that he can only do it on 2 stops and was planning on 3 and has not filled the car.
As Texas almost takes a whole tank of fuel, so things have just gone interesting, folks. So this will definitely be something to watch for the battle of the LMP1 class. But what just happened is that Daniel was able to catch up to the back of Texas time in the pits and use that to his advantage right before the pit line, but he goes into the wrong pit box, and then he takes way less fuel, 20 liters less fuel than Texas time does. So maybe this is a strategy call that he is going to try and build the gap as best as he can, because he probably knows that Texas is going to have to pit again. So this is so maybe he's trying to build a very large gap to when both of these guys have to pit again. Things are going to heat up here, folks.
Meanwhile, Dale just did a half spin coming into the penultimate corner in the middle of Sector 3. struggling to keep the rears on that tire. Getting better fuel efficiency than the Fords, but not able to keep the tires beneath him, it seems like, late in the running.
As that is going to hurt Dale massively in this race. He's trying his best to catch up to the Cuddly Koala. So Cuddly Koala, who, just like I have said, has publicly said that this is not one of his best tracks. He has a lot of trouble here. If he's able to get a P3, I mean, he is sitting in P2, but Hefty Bag has pitted, so once they all pit, that will probably get Hefty Bag all the way back up into P2. But this will be a very good race today for the Ford team if the Cuddly Koala was to somehow manage to get a P3 podium spot for their team, especially after the Chevy Corvette of Snipper Pig spun out. Very interesting strategy call from Daniel, though. I have to say that he did lap a whole second faster than Texas on their last lap, so this is definitely a huge strategy call, as he is starting to pull away a little bit. So
I can't help but wonder if he didn't have his pit strategy set up correctly. That's just... I am very puzzled as to why he would force himself into a 3-stop strategy when he could easily do a 2-stop and was competitive doing a full 2-stop strategy stint.
Things are getting interesting in this endurance race. It may not be now, but right at the end of the race, when both of them have the pit, we will have to see how much fuel that they are going to take into that car of Daniel there to try and beat out the Audi of Texas time. So this will definitely be a key to watch for while we get close to the end of the race. I am in disbelief of what we just managed to see there.
Yeah, I just I can't make sense of what his logic is. The only thing I could understand is it was a mistake it was either a glitch in the game or he forgot to set his pit strategy.
It will definitely be a thing to ask him after the race is done, because the only one that knows on why he made that call is Daniel his own self. So you definitely have to wonder if it was a mistake on the pit strategy call, or if that was a deliberate move to take as less fuel as he possibly can. I don't blame him on the move of possibly pitting of when Texas time pitted, but the move to take as less fuel as Texas time did, it's definitely a very interesting call, as Texas time could probably go on for I don't know how many more laps than Daniel can after he is going to have to pit. So this is a very interesting call. We are now getting close to the mark of where Warrior, the Cuddly Koala, and Dale the Whale, and Snipper Pig are going to have to pit. So we are getting close to that mark to where they will be pitting soon. So that will definitely be something to watch for with the GTE class. But as it stands, Warrior is head and shoulders above the whole entire field in the GTE class. Right now, it looks like Texas has lost a huge... He has lost a huge amount of time. And
as you say that, Dan spins. Dan has spun.
Dan spun as well, but Dan has spun. But if you look at Texas's car...
He's missing his nose.
So something happened.
What has happened to the front of this LMP1 grid?
this might have opened up the race to Jonathan out of anybody. So Dan has spun, but the one who suffered the most is Texas, and he's now going to have to pit. So I'm sorry we may have missed the spin out, but something has happened. So Texas time spun out, took a lot of damage.
Texas may get a drive-through penalty for speeding into the pits, as he did not get the car slowed down enough to get, he was not at the 37 miles an hour or 60 kilometers an hour when those cones happened, so that might very well be a drive-through penalty for Texas post-race.
No, he did not, so he will have to take a drive-through penalty in this race for speeding in pit lane. So that is something the stewards will be looking at. So this race, in a way, might have opened up for Jonathan. He's still very, very, very far away. But he's going to need a lot of luck to possibly win this race. And as it stands right now, Texas time has gotten a drive-through penalty for speeding into pit lane.
Very unfortunate, not what the Porsche driver needed, as Dan looks like he's about to capitalize on this. Points difference from first to fourth is 24 points, with a 10-point difference between Dan and Texas right now. So this is absolutely turned the championship upside down for the Porsche team who were running first and third. John right now and Damage John would definitely pass Spidey in the championship. Damage would be very close, as Texas will not be happy having to take another trip down pit lane for speeding in the pits. We'll see if he does that soon.
Snipper Pig has now come into the pits for his pit stop. So Snipper Pig has now pitted. So we will follow Texas time here. Very unfortunate for him today, as he will have to take a drive-through for speeding into pit lane.
As he does come in for that. Much more careful, already down to pit speed a couple hundred meters beforehand, so very careful not to do that again. Crew comes out, but he will not be stopping in his box.
So the two the two Fords of Warrior and the Cuddly Koala are now in the pits. So both Fords have come in to pit for this race. Texas has now served his drive-through penalty, so this whole entire race has opened up to possibly give Daniel the win if he doesn't make any mistakes. But this race
right now Daniel's in the catbird seat because he still has more fuel than John, even though he did not take a full tank. He almost has as much as, in fact, Damage, who's about to go a lap down. He's only about 6 seconds ahead of the leader. Only has half a liter more than Daniel.
But this race has definitely worked out tremendously for the Audi team, as right now they are currently sitting in both podium spots, but it will definitely be something to watch for when Damage has to pit as well, so that will definitely be a key to watch. And I don't know if Texas can make it all the way on fuel.
He will need to stop again.
So he's going to have to try his absolute best to catch up to Damage there. Dale the Whale has also pitted. Dale the Whale has now come into the pits for his first pit stop. Right now, that will definitely give the lead to Hefty Bag, but he is going to have to pit as well as...
Texas is back in? Texas is back into the pits. What is happening? Took a splash of fuel. Did not take time. Texas might have spun yet again, as he is taking a lot of damage repair.
That's what it looks like, and it does look like the front of his car has taken some damage there. There's definitely a bent. That's not a wing, but there definitely looks to be some damage to the front of his car.
So just over the hour mark into the race, Daniel leads after taking a short fill, his first stop, putting him onto a 3-stop strategy. He has 45 seconds over John, who is struggling to get the fuel mileage of his competitors. Meanwhile, Damage in third, almost a lap down, also struggling with fuel mileage in the Audi. Texas was not dominating this race, but had definitely control over it for the first hour until he spun, took damage, and had to do a drive-through penalty, then spun again and took damage, pitting 2-3 times in the last 6 laps or so. In LMP2, it's Thordo with a controlling lead over Big R. About 1 sector there. In GTE, one thing that we have missed, Hefty has taken over the lead over Warrior. Doing the undercut, Warrior will not be on a one-stop strategy. He's about 20 minutes short of a one-stop strategy, which makes sense for the GTE cars. Hefty doing the undercut, it has paid off for him.
But Warrior is catching up massively to the back of that Ferrari car, though.
Meanwhile, the pit sequence has let Snipper and Dale both pass Cuddly Koala, and the 2 Corvettes are now running line astern in third and fourth, with Stallard about a sector behind Koala. So, one thing I will try to make sure is watch. Now, obviously, unscheduled pit stops we cannot predict, but I will be watching a closer eye, especially if there's not a battle on the track, as John puts Dale off the edge of the course and Snipper looks to capitalize. They're side by side. I cannot hear you. Your mic's gone haywire again, but we will try to keep a better eye on pit entry speeds, as that has been a problem in a couple of races now. Hefty in the first race at Coda. Meanwhile, the Corvettes are still side by side. Snipper able to get past Dale in the hairpin and chicane.
Dylan, can you hear me now?
Yep, there we go.
So the Chevys were battling side by side there. I don't know if that was a strategy call from both of them to let each other go. But Snipper Pig has now gone all the way back up to P3, so I have to wonder if the Cuddly Koala had any problems there. But Warrior has now caught up to Hefty Bag for the lead of this race. For the lead in the GTE class.
As the battle for third calms down between the Corvette intramural battle, the battle for the lead between Ferrari and Ford has heated up.
Can Hefty Bag be the one to break the Ford winning streak? That will be a huge moment, not only just for Hefty Bag and well, not only just for the Ferrari team, but it will be a huge moment for Hefty Bag, the former UDL F2 champion, as he's trying to. He did not get a good. He did not get a good run out of the final corner. As here comes Warrior down the front straight as he's going to try and make a move on Hefty Bag.
The Ford has the legs on the straight, as you can see him nose ahead at the line, wrong line, as he's well ahead at the actual start-finish line. And looks Hefty deep on the brakes on the outside, going for the undercut. Not able to do it, as we have a new leader in GTE.
As Warrior has taken back the lead of the GTE field, but they both have to make one more stop, so this will be a very interesting strategy, a strategy filled race to see of what they will do, as Warrior is going to have to try and build that gap as best as he can, as it looks like they make contact
Jonathan
with the Audi of John there.
Again, in drivers' meeting, GTE drivers were told to be predictable. He tried to get out of the way of Jonathan, and it backfired. Thankfully, no damage done, it looks like, but... Meanwhile, the battle for fourth place is heating up again, as Dale and Koala seem to have magnets that are drawing each other's cars together, as they are closing in on each other yet again, as Daniel, our overall leader, is working his way through the GTE field yet again.
It looks like Warrior is trying to break any of the slipstream from Hefty Bag there. Looks like he does. Hefty Bag trying his best to catch up to the Ford of Warrior, but I think he's going to play strategy there to try and get the undercut to work, and it may work for him. So this is definitely going to be quite a battle to watch after they have both made their second stop. Daniel right now is going to look to try and make his second win in the WEC series and his first win in the endurance race. That's where we're heading towards right now. As right now he still holds a very huge lead over Jonathan in the LMP1 field after the damage that Texas has taken from his spin out. It looks like the Cuddly Koala is now starting to catch up to the Chevy of Dale the Whale. So this will definitely be something to watch.
The Audis goes wide at hairpin, gets Dale off his rhythm as Dale hits the back of the Audi. That shows a perfect example of how the GTE cars have more mechanical grip at low speeds than the prototypes do. The GTE cars are much more softly sprung than these purpose-built prototypes.
That may have helped out the Cuddly Koala tremendously on trying to get a move done for P4 in the GTE field. And we all know that Ford has a lot of straight line speed, so Koala is definitely going to try and make a move here soon on the Chevy Corvette. So while there is a little bit of a lull in the action, I'm going to let you guys know that next week the UDL F1 Series is back on, as they will be at the Belgium Grand Prix, as Snipper Pig, the current UDL F1 points leader will be trying to build up on his lead.
Oh.
As we just see there, Dale has spun and given up P4 to the Cuddly Koala. So Dale, again, while in front of the Cuddly Koala, makes another mistake that has allowed the Cuddly Koala to get out in front of him. So Dale the Whale has made two very costly mistakes for the Cuddly Koala to get out in front. Very unfortunate for Dale the Whale, as this has not been a good race today for Dale.
Dale almost lost the back end again. Coming in on the 75-minute to go mark, which would mean
we are now at the 75-minute mark. Final warning has been given to Dale the Whale of the 64 Chevy Corvette. So Dale the Whale has received a final warning from the stewards. But as I was saying, the UDL F1 Series does return back next week on this channel, as they will be heading to the Belgian GP.
I think it might cut out again, Pecan. Right after you said GP. They have taken a week off for the endurance round, as we do have drivers doing double duty. As John is coming up to the tail end of the battle for the final podium position. As Warrior has been able to pull quite a gap over Hefty, as it's looks like it's about 3 or 4 seconds. Meanwhile, Snipper has been able to capitalize on Dale and Koala battling, as Dale lets John through in the last corner. And let's pull out a gap up about, again, 3 or 4 seconds over Koala.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Alright, so just like I was saying, so F1 is back at Belgium next week. The WEC Series will return to sprint race action on May 10th, as F1 will also be heading to Monza, the famous Monza track of the Italian GP. And then after that, the WEC Series will return back, as they will be at sprint race action at the Road of Americas on May 10th. Then on May 17th, F1 will be at the Singapore GP, I believe. I believe it's either Singapore or Russia. Oh yeah, it will be Singapore, as they will head towards the streets of Singapore and have a night race. And then on May 24th, the UDL will also have, and on the same day of the Singapore GP, there is the Indy 500 Bump Day qualifying, as F1 and WEC drivers will battle head-to-head against each other to qualify their way into the field. And then, of course, on May 24th, the UDL will be hosting their own Indy 500. So that will be going on the next few weeks for UDL action. As all that was being said, Dale the Whale has spun out again, as he has had a tough time today in this race keeping his car straight. So this has not been a good race for Dale the Whale at all.
As due to my laptop dying, I have currently lost access to the points championship. But as they run, Dan would definitely take the lead of LMP1, as Texas is 95% of a lap down on damage, both of which have to make Texas only has to make one more pit stop. Damage might have to make 2. So that could be very close if Texas has a clean rest of the race. John would be able to jump past Spidey for 3rd place in the championship still, and Damage would be right on Spidey's tail for that 4th position, as Driver is still back in 6th place. In LMP2, the top 2 runners are not competing today. Thordo looks like he's able to keep growing his gap over Big R, as that's almost half a lap. Thordo is new to the championship, so he does not have any points yet. In GTE, Warrior would grow his lead as the Fords still look to remain undefeated. Hefty looking to jump up in the championship as he is currently in the back 2 with his teammate Stoller, who's currently running in last. Koala looking to get past Dale as someone has just dived to the pits. Daniel is in the pits as I missed him entering pit lanes, so I'm not able to see if he sped in or not. But he's going to have to pit again. This could put John right on strategy with him.
This really could help him out tremendously. This is going to be a very interesting finish. If I was John, I would just try to stretch this out as best as he can. I would try to stretch out this stint as best as he can. As right now it looks like Daniel is going to take 62.5 liters of fuel. He is now making his way out. So is he going to have to pit again?
Yes. Daniel will have to make another pit stop.
So if I'm Jonathan here, I would try to push this stint out as best as he can. So that's what I would do if I was John. Try to push out this stint as best as you can. Don't mess up or anything. Just keep, the car on the track there. As he does go a little bit wide there, he might get a warning for that. But John is definitely, he could be in the driver's seat for a win here today. Out of everything that has happened, he could possibly get a win. A lot of different strategies playing out.
Indeed, as it looks like John will likely be the next to pit in the field, as we're coming up on the 2nd round of pit stops for the 3-stop strategies. As John is into the pits right now, we'll see if he can get it slowed down. He does. As when Big R pitted with 1 hour and 9 minutes left, approximately, he may have sped coming into the pits. The stewards are reviewing it right now. Meanwhile, Daniel has taken the lead back with John in the pits. John is still in the pits, just now leaving, as his teammate is on the front straight. His teammate may get by him.
He only takes about 49.8 liters of fuel, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Audi is one of the most fuel-efficient cars. However, it does have the smallest tank. And that is... that will be a factor, as unfortunately Big R has been given a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pits.
So Big R has been giving a drive-through penalty for speeding into pit lane.
As it'll be close to see who pits next, as Thordo is on 11 liters and Damage is on 9, so it'll likely be Damage. Hefty will... Oops, as I accidentally put my foot on my cat. Damage will likely be the next to pit, as Hefty will be the next to pit in GTE, as his GTE pit window opens in 15 minutes. The LMP1 cars would ideally like to do at least another 25 before making their final pit stop on the two-stop strategy, but that has gone out the window for all of them, as Texas has pitted multiple times for Damage. Daniel short-filled the car to do a three-stop strategy, and the Audis are unable to make the fuel merge to do a two-stop.
Color Koala has caught up to the back of Snipper Pig, though, here for the final podium spot, so that will definitely be something to watch. We're going to watch Big R here to see if he will take his drive-through penalty, and it looks like he will.
Yep. Coming in for the drive-through, gets it woed down.
Like Damage is going to let John by there on the straightaway, and Damage is almost out of fuel, so Damage will have to pit here soon, as Damage looks like he is going to try and make the two-stop work.
Texas, wow, Damage is going to be very close on doing a two-stop. He'll be pitting in about the next 6 minutes, which means his first two stints will have only been about 50 minutes apiece, and then he'll need to do a 56 to an hour stint at the end here to round out, so Damage might need to pit twice, which, if he needs to make an extra pit stop, which I believe he does, Texas will be right with him, as Texas is currently 2 sectors behind. He's about a minute behind, but a very lengthy pit road here at Fuji. As we jump through the field here, with all 3 classes jostling for position still.
Color Koala is trying to catch up to Snipper Pig as best as he can to take that final podium spot away from the Chevy Corvette and get both of the Fords onto a podium place. Now, will the GTE cars have to pit again?
The GTE cars will have to do one more stop. Hefty has played the smart strategy. He is pitting at the beginning of the fuel windows to put fresh tires on the car, which is why he is at 26 liters while the rest of the field has over 50 liters, as Thordo's in the pits a little bit early. Not able to see him enter, but Damage will be coming in relatively soon. So
but as a fan, I think he is going to be very relatively safe, especially after Big R has suffered a drive-through penalty and he hasn't had the pace today to really compete with Thordo for the lead. I think Thordo is still in a very good spot to maintain and hold his lead out of the LMP2 field, as Big R goes really wide there.
Yeah, he's trying to get back past Hefty for an overall position here, as that drive-through has put him behind the GTE cars. Damage will stay out to do one more lap. which means he will likely come in next time around. The LMP2, everyone pitting right now and up to this point has to do one more stop. Damage is going to be the next to make a scheduled pit stop, and it will be very close to see whether or not he can do it on one more or whether he'll need to make a splash. Personally, I think he'll need to make a splash. The good to go mark for GTE is 50 minutes. If you pit under 50 minutes to go, you will not need to make another pit stop for fuel. In LMP1 and LMP2, the good to go mark is 42 minutes. You may be able to stretch it to 45 if you save some fuel, but you're definitely good to go at 42. And damage is likely going to be stopping,
I would say
1.3 liters this lap, so he'll likely do one more.
Yeah, I would think that he's probably going to pit either this lap or the next lap. He has to at least.
He is staying out this lap.
He has to at least pit the next lap. Can you hear me, Dylan?
Yes.
Okay. Trying to make sure my mic is still working. So, Damage will definitely pit the very next lap. So, we're going to go back to the GTE battle between the Cuddly Koala and Snipper Pig here, as this is the final podium spot out of the GTE field. So this is a very huge battle. We will definitely go back to Damage, and we will have to watch to see how his pit limiter is looking when he does pit, as he's currently right now in Sector 2.
That is definitely something we will be keeping an eye on throughout the season, as apparently that is the stewards have been lax as Texas dives down into pit entrance just to use it for
Cuddly Koala has a lot of speed in that car, as he is catching up really fast to the back of Snipper Pig there.
Indeed. As Damage is coming onto the front straight, we will jump to him to watch his pit entry. Fuji is one of the more difficult pit entries due to the little chicane, as he's, I think, 3 miles an hour over. We'll have to see what the stewards say on that. Cutting it very close. Hefty is down to 19 liters. He will likely be the next to pit. Meanwhile, it's status quo for that battle for third in GTE. As the stewards are going back to take a look at Damage's pit stop, as the game predicts. In fact, Texas is past Damage, so they both need to make one more stop. So Damage will likely finish in 4th. As the report is in, and Damage was about 10 miles an hour over when the front of the car hit the speed limiter. So Damage will be getting a drive-through penalty.
So Damage has received a drive-through penalty from the stewards for speeding into pit lane. So 3 drivers today have now received a penalty
penalty, that Fuji pit is getting a lot of drivers. So that has been a issue for a lot of drivers today. So, and other drivers are also streaming their races. So since we haven't been able to catch all of them coming into pit lane, that will definitely be something to watch for later on. To see drivers maybe getting post-race penalties, it would definitely be a key to watch.
Will definitely be a thing to watch for as these shadows lengthen a little bit as we are getting later in the day. Big R has got his way past the rest of the GTE field as damage is already in for his drive-through penalty. Koala still on the back of Snipper. With 55 minutes remaining, your last hourly race update is Dan is in the lead after doing a very interesting 3-stop strategy. Has already made 2 stops of that 3-stop strategy. He will need to pit one more time, as everyone in the field needs to pit at least once more. He leads by a healthy margin, almost 2/3 of a lap over Jonathan. Texas, who has pitted twice for damage and received 1 drive-through penalty, in a pretty lonely 3rd place right now, as he's about half a lap behind Jonathan and almost a lap ahead of Damage, who just received a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pits. Thordo running a lonely race in LMP2 at the lead after 2nd place in LMP2. Big R received a drive-through penalty also for speeding in the pits. Thordo looking to win on his LMP2 debut. In GTE, it has been Warrior at the front of the race. Hefty currently running in 2nd, preparing for his final stop of the race very soon. Able to do an undercut move to get the lead earlier, but not able to keep it. Battle for 3rd in GTE is tight between Snipper and Koala. Koala's been battling with the Corvettes all races. Dale has fallen quite a bit off of that battle as he barely keeps it within track limits in turn 1. Dollard closing in on Dale a little bit. Still about a 25-second gap there, but he is gaining ground. Looking to break his bad string of races. So closing in on that magic 50-minute mark for the GTE cars, where they can make their last pit stop. Pecan, you there?
Yeah, I am. I'm just currently watching the battle between Koala and Snipper Pig here for the final podium spot. So this is definitely the only battle so far on track. And I think right now, with all the strategies playing out, really the intriguing ones to watch is the battle for the lead between Hefty Bag and Warrior, as Hefty Bag has way less fuel than Warrior, as he's going to try and make the undercut work to get right in front of Warrior. So that will definitely be something to watch for, as the GTE cars will still have to make their way into the pits one more time. Cuddly Koala right now right on the back of Snipper Pig. This has definitely been a very intriguing race. Very intriguing, with a lot of stuff going on. And earlier, definitely earlier in the race, there was, with Daniel and Tex is battling for the lead. Let's not forget, Daniel pitted in the wrong box. He pulled out his own Jensen Bun 2011 in China, and went into the wrong box. He was able to recover and get it back into the box. He took way less fuel, which was definitely going to be a very an interesting strategy to watch out, but Texas spun out and took a lot of damage to the front of his car as he had to pit, and he sped into pit lane, which then gave him the drive-through penalty, which then killed any chance that he had at possibly winning the race.
Daniel looking to capitalize on the points as 2 races in a row now. Texas has had not the luck he's wanted. Will not finish on the lead lap 2 races in a row. However, due to the high attrition of this race, he will still make a podium position, it looks like, unless if other circumstances happen, as Texas is closing in on this battle for 3rd place in GTE. Flies past Koala. We can really see all the downforce that Porsche has. Cleanly past Snipper, and just like that, the GTE cars are back by themselves.
Right in cockpit view cam here with the cuddly Koala to try and see what he can do to get right onto the back of Snipper Pig there. He has him right in his view. He can just taste it. He can just taste that podium spot. As you can hear the wheel spin there from the Ford car as he's just trying anything or just hoping for a mistake from the Chevy Corvette of Snipper Pig, who, let's not forget, at the beginning of this race had a spin out and was all the way down into last place. So gotta give some props to Snipper Pig here for salvaging this race, as right now the Color Koala is just closing in on that Chevy. So can Color Koala make a move here? He doesn't have it though, so he's going to tuck in behind and hope that he can get some better lines throughout all of these corners, that once he gets onto the straight he will get a better run and be able to pass Snipper Pig for the final podium spot. And that will be quite a day for him, as we have previously stated, this is not a track that he is a very big fan of. He has definitely mentioned he has a lot of problems here. So being able to get a P3 for the Cuddly Koala will definitely be a huge win and boost, not only for his team but for his confidence as well.
As the magic number of 50 minutes has passed, Hefty is coming into the pits for his final pit stop as he brakes for the chicane. Gets it woed down, and he makes sure not to be one of the victims of the drive-through penalties for this event.
So right now, this is definitely a key to watch for, as he's going to probably put a lot of fuel into that car so he can make it the final rest of the way to beat out Warrior and end that winning streak. So that will definitely be a key to watch for.
Shadow's getting quite long here, as this race might run a little bit later into the day than the race planners expected it to, as the entire front straight is in shadow now, and it won't be long until Mount Fuji covers the sunlight from the 3rd sector of the track. As Hefty's teammate Stallard stays out for one more lap, he will be coming in the next lap, as Hefty is still in the pits. Just now changing tires, fills the car with fuel, and he is out and good to go with 84 liters. So did take a full tank of fuel.
I'm not sure if that is the pit stop that Bad wanted to have there.
Yeah, lengthy pit stop. might have been able to save a few liters, but playing it on the safe side, making sure that he is definitely good to go until the end of the race. As Warrior is coming up to put a lap on Stallard. Stallard's still struggling with pacing in the Ferraris, excuse me.
The LMP2 cars, the LMP1 cars are definitely going to have to pit soon.
Oh, meanwhile, Koala has gotten past Snipper. We have missed that during this pit sequence. So Koala up into second place now with Hefty pitting. As Stallard comes into the pits.
You have to think that Snipper Pig has made a mistake somewhere there, or maybe he finally got up to him. As Koala is getting everything that he needed today in this race to be able to get up right in front of Pig there. So Koala had himself a really good race.
As we focus on this battle, as pit window is about to open for the LMP1 cars, GTE cars, pit window is open. But the question is, how much fuel do you need? Hefty, with his strategy, which is the strategy that I would have run myself, you know exactly how far your car can make it on the minimum number of stops. If you split the race into thirds for a 2-stop strategy, it's 50 minutes. Fill the car up at each stop, and you know you're good to go. The question that Snipper and Koala both have: how much fuel do you put in the car? You want as least amount of fuel in the car as possible, due to the fact it makes the car lighter, and you're going to spend less time in pit lane. So, short fill the car too much, and you won't make it to the end of the race. What to do? What to do?
Definitely going to be watching those times that Hefty Bag is setting. Warrior set a lap of 130. He just set a lap of 135.7. That's a really fast lap to what his competitors are running. Bag runs a 137.2, so Warrior is still lapping at a 1.5 seconds faster than Hefty Bag, who's going to try his best to get back right into that battle for the lead. I think Warrior has the race won.
It'll be close. He could short fill the car too much and have to make a splash or run out, as I myself know how easy it is to lose track of how much fuel you have. A one-off race a couple weeks ago at Daytona, 2 hours, a mock 1980s Daytona, I ran out of fuel 200 yards before the line and beat Koala by under 0.2 of a second. So fuel is crucial in these endurance races. The Audis may have to go a little bit longer, but their fuel window is in the next 2 laps or so. The Porsche and Toyota could make it to the end from now, as could any GT drivers, so it'll be a little bit more difficult to tell if anyone will pit early or not. Most of these drivers will run to the end of their fuel stint due to the fact that run longer when the car is lighter.
Warrior still holds a commanding lead in the GTE class, and Thordo Gaming still holds a commanding lead in the LMP2 class. It has been a good drive today for him, as this is his debut race. Now, both of the points leaders in the LMP2 class are gone, so they are not in this race today. But still, this is a huge win for Thordo Gaming of the LMP2 field. This will help out his confidence, I would imagine, for the rest of the year tremendously. So this is definitely a race that he is glad he is having. He just can't afford to really make any mistakes at all. So he's definitely doing a great job today. And Daniel still holds a commanding lead out of the LMP1 group. So
as Snipper has pitted early, some of these drivers are realizing that these stewards can't predict exactly when they're going to pit if they pit early, and might take advantage of that a little bit to make sure that we are not watching.
John has now come into the pits as well. So John has pitted. He has lost out ample amounts of time to Daniel, but he is going to salvage this race and take a P2 away, as he also knows that Texas time is also going to have to make another pit stop as well, as Texas time is currently running at 7 liters of fuel left in that car, so he will have to pit. John is on his way out. He did not take a full fuel load, so right now he is in the driver's seat for a P2 finish if everything goes his way and he doesn't make a mistake. We are now at the under 40-minute mark, ladies and gentlemen, of this race.
Yeah, Texas obviously needs to pit again, so he will fall out of that P2 position. However, should John need to pit again, whether he short-filled the car or gets damaged, Texas will be in the catbird seat. As the field is pretty spread out, whether it be due to the penalties or just the attrition of the race, you can tell the sunlight getting that orange hue to it on the track and on the concrete walls. As pit lane has now fallen into the shadows as well as the front straight.
Plenty of shadows here on the track of Fuji, so we are definitely getting close to that nighttime range of this race. Very interesting thing to note, Snipperpig was able to get out in front of Hefty Bag after the pits.
Indeed, Snipper definitely took less fuel than Hefty Bag did. I think Hefty honestly might have overfilled that car. That might come to bite him in the end. That's a very good catch.
So Snipperpig has made his way out in front of the Ferrari of Hefty Bag. So I wonder what happened there on that stop of Bag, because he was running in a really good spot, but now Snipperpig is in front.
As John's coming back into the pits. Make sure to get it slowed down in plenty of time.
It looks like he took some damage. It looks like he has damage on his car. He has some damage on his right front. So this gets Texas time back all the way up to P2. This is not what John wanted at all.
Not at all. And Daniel is... He's a lap ahead of the field. He has lapped the field now. Oh my god. Sorry, my cat just tried to jump up onto my chair and failed miserably. Sorry about that. I was not prepared for that. But Daniel now has plenty of room to do whatever he likes. His Big Art is in for his final stop.
Big R is in the pits for his final stop. We will go back to Texas time here as he will definitely be pitting in this lap. He has 1.5 liters of fuel left, so he will definitely have to pit again. So he will definitely be pitting this lap. We will be watching him to make sure that he follows the pit speed line rules. Right now, Texas is driving with a very cracked windshield. That has to be very tough to drive with.
Yeah, might have been fixed on his screen. There is a glitch with some of the visual damage not being fixed on this game when other drivers pit. But if he did get that this stint, that will be very distracting. Make sure to get it slowed down in plenty of time.
And he does. He does get it slowed down to meet the 37 mile per hour mark. So Texas time is now pitting. We are going to go back to Jonathan. I don't know if Jonathan is going to be able to get close enough.
As you are watching Jonathan, I will be watching Texas to let you know when he gets moving. And Texas is moving already. He did not fully fill the car with only 34 minutes remaining. So Jonathan will not be able to get around back into second place.
So Texas time right now is in control of the P2 spot. So after everything that has happened to him with the incident and the drive-through penalty, got to give a lot of props here to Texas time to be able to get himself back up into P2, where right now he's only, what, I want to say 4 points behind, as it stands right now. With Daniel, if he wins this race, he will only be 4 points behind Daniel. So good race from Texas, and I have to wonder what exactly happened with Jonathan there that had to make him pit again. We did see that his right headlight was out, so he had a spin out or ran into the back of someone that caused him damage that ended up being the downfall for him that would take him out of that P2 spot. But he still sits on a podium place in P3.
So those who have yet to make their final pit stop include Daniel, currently leading the race by, where is Texas? By almost 2 laps. He's a corner from lapping the field twice over. But again, he's yet to make his final stop. Damage has also yet to make his final stop in 4th place in LMP1 and overall. Fordo, the leader in LMP2, has also yet to pit as he has a lap on his field. The GTE leader, both of the Fords currently running in P1 and P2, and Dale have yet to make their stop. The Ferraris are good to go to the end, and so is Snipper, Jonathan, Texas, and Big R.
Will Thorgo have to pit again?
Yes. Thordo will not make it on. Well, he pitted with about 50 minutes left. In fact, he just got loose coming onto the front straight.
I think he might have to pit again.
I think he will. He has more than enough time, though, as the next car behind him overall is Warrior, with Big R closing up on Warrior to get the position back overall, but he has more than enough time to make a pit stop.
Bunch of strategies playing out here, so it's going to be very interesting in GTE. I think the LMP1 group and the LMP2 group, as far as nothing else, like as far as a spin out or any wrecks going on, I think the LMP1 and the LMP2 group, as it stands right now, is currently locked into place unless something dramatically happens to either of them. I know Daniel still has to pit, so that will definitely be something to watch for with him, you know, hopefully not speeding into pit lane that could possibly ruin the race win for him. But the GTE group is right now the one to watch with all the different strategies that are playing out, as Dale the Whale, the Cuddly Koala, and Warrior will all have to make a pit stop.
As damage might be coming in right now. Nope, just got it out of shape coming out of the last corner. Took it all the way to the wall, including the grass. As one of the prototypes is coming in, that looks like it might be Daniel? Nope. Maybe not. Texas was just going to the wall to pass some traffic. So.
Folks, we are getting close to the end.
Not much on-track battling playing out at the moment, but that is due to half the field still yet to make their final stops, as both of the Fords are running them as dry as they can before they make their final stop, using the advantage of the car being as light as possible.
Warrior not running very fast. He is his last lap was 2 seconds slower, 2 tenths slower, I believe. No, 2 seconds slower than Hefty Bag and a whole second slower than Pig. So this will definitely be something to watch.
Oh, and John has spun it. Oh, and he almost gets collected by a Ferrari. I'm not sure if he didn't. That was Hefty that just barely missed him. So John still pushing very hard, as that was definitely a brown trousers moment for Hefty. As I'm sure Hefty will not appreciate John pulling out on track in front of him. Damage is out of the final corner. Front straight getting very dark. Damage is flashing this light. He might be letting Texas through. Yes, very sportsmanlike of him.
I mean, if he didn't let him through, he was definitely going to get a blue flag there anyway.
Yeah. As the entire final corner is now in the shade of Mount Fuji.
And it looks like Warrior is pitting. Warrior is definitely pitting. I think he is pitting. Yes, Warrior is pitting.
Which means I would expect to see his teammate in as well, as he is very cautious heading into pit lane.
Very
Slows
cautious.
down to 20 miles an hour.
Going into the pits, as he does not want to ruin any chance that he has at winning this race. So that will definitely be a key to watch. Koala will probably pit either this lap or the next lap.
As likely that Koala will pit this lap just to play it safe. He's 2.5 liters, so right on the brink of not having enough fuel for another lap, as keeps to the right side of the track and does decide to dive in.
Koala is now into the pits.
And also slows down more than enough. Make sure that he engages the pit speed limiter as his team. As one Ford enters the pit, another exits.
Ooh, we have a spin. I wonder who that is. It's Stallard. Stallard has spun out. But that was just Dale the Whale, who's now has gotten in front of him. But Stallard spun out right in front of the GTE of Dale. So, we're going to have to see if Dale is going to pit this lap.
Dale stays out. So he'll have to pit in the next 3 or 4 laps. Snipper is on the front straight while Koala is just now leaving pit lane. So Snipper's going to be pretty close to Koala. Still about 4 or 5 seconds between them.
So it looks like the strategy call that Hefty Bag has gone with, or the pit that he had, has ended up costing him majorly.
Yeah, he did not need to take that much fuel, as he took about 20 extra liters. One thing of note, our leader has still yet to make his final stop. He's down under 10 liters with 23.5 minutes remaining. So including a pit stop, that'll be close to about 15, 16 laps left in this motor race. As it looks like
goes way off the track there.
Dale staying out for one more lap, so Dale will be pitting the following lap as he's right behind him. Has made his final stop and is quite a ways ahead of Dale, although Dale will pit. In fact, Dale has run wide in turn 2 and Koala has gone through. As Thordo is in the wall. P2 leader is in the wall in the penultimate corner. He gets it going. I wonder if his controller died. As Dale goes to dive for pit lane, has to let one of the LMP1 cars through.
And Dale spun!
And he spun entering pit lane. This is unbelievable. As Thordo is into the pits after his incident. And Dale hit the beginning of the pit wall and has stayed out. Meanwhile, struggling to keep that car in a straight line. What has happened?
Drama. Plenty of drama here at the end of this race. Wow.
As our overall leader, Daniel, in the 5 car is getting a warning for track limits.
You have to think that maybe nerves or, you know, drivers are getting tired.
Dale is under 5 leaders now as he comes onto the front straight. Gets past some lap traffic, stays out.
I think Dale is trying to save as much fuel as he can so that he doesn't run out before he makes it to his box. It has to be why he's going so tremendously slow.
I'm not sure why though. I mean, either way, he still has a lap and almost 2 laps actually on the field, as he can see Texas, almost see Texas ahead of him. Dale is in the pits, got under the pit speed limiter in plenty of time. Meanwhile, that has moved. His incident has let Hefty slip by into 4th place, and depending on how much damage he has, he might let Stollard slip by as well, as Damage and Daniel are the only 2 people left to pit in this race. As Daniel might have just had Porto there, stays out for 1 more lap, so Daniel will be pitting this next lap. Dale is out of pit lane as Stollard enters the front straight, so it looks like Dale will finish in 5th.
A lot of stuff happening there in the final few minutes, right at the 20-minute mark. Just craziness has ensued from this race. Oh, and John goes a little bit wide. John goes a little bit wide. He goes off into the grass.
As Daniel turned in... I wonder if Daniel was altering his pit strategy to before then this lap, as he almost hit the wall on the back straight. He turned in way too early and way too hard for the kink. Almost put it in the wall. As Daniel is into the pits this lap, our leader is in. Gets it well under the pit speed limit. As the Audis are running together, although a lap between them.
I don't think he sped into pit lane, did he?
No, no.
Okay.
He's
Daniel takes
well,
very little fuel.
yeah, only 15 minutes left. It's literally a splash and dash. Meanwhile, Damage stays out one more time. John will come out right. Daniel will come out right ahead of Jonathan. As unless if an incident were to happen, your finishing order will be Daniel with lap and a half over Texas, who is half a lap over John, who will be a lap and a half over which Damage just spun in turn 1 because he was right behind John and is now well behind. So pretty spread out LMP1 field this race, unfortunately. Thordo has a half lap over Big R, which Thordo just set. He might be on for his fastest lap of the race with fresh tires and light fuel here. Crosses the line. Not quite. Big R. Which Big R runs wide at the hairpin, letting Texas through. And GTE Warrior has half a lap over his which
And if
Sniffer's only about.
I mean, if Warrior wins this race, this is going to be his 3rd race win in a row out of the
Yes, with his
G,
lowest finish being 2nd.
which was at the circuit of the Amera, where Kozen Elswin, his teammate, won the race.
Yep.
As they are looking like they're going to both have a 1-2 finish in this race.
It's not over yet. Koala is currently stuck behind Stallard, and Sniffer's only about, I'd say 6 seconds or so. They're both in turn 3 at the same time. So, unless if Stallard makes it easy for Koala, which if he doesn't, he may get a blue flag soon from the race stewards. And it looks like Hefty's going to bring it home in a lonely 4th, as he's almost half a lap ahead of Dale, and about half a lap behind Snipper.
Blue flags have been given out to Stallard of the Ferrari.
As Damage does a very gentlemanly job letting Texas through. Koala has actually fallen back a little bit from Stallard. So the blue flag has been given to him, but until Koala's right there, Stallard doesn't have to pull over and just sit at the side of the track as Damage goes all the way out to the sand trap in turn 1. As if this was at the beginning of the race, that might Stallard able to pull a little bit of a gap over Koala.
Currently lapping just a tenth faster than him as well. Neverpig getting passed by by the Porsche of Texas. start if he finally lets the Ford Cuddly Koala go.
Damage is currently only going 100 miles an hour down the front straight to avoid pitting. He's only at half throttle. Trying desperately not to have to pit again. Not sure what he has to lose.
Probably already knows that he is stuck in 4th place, so he doesn't really want to try anything because he knows that he has such a very wide gap from him and Jonathan, so that he already knows that 4th place is in the bag here for him. As he's 13 seconds, 13 minutes out in front of Bordeaux, so he's in a very good spot to where he doesn't really have to, do anything, as far as wasting all the fuel that he has. He's still very well firm, very well put in the PB4 spot. But even then, I still think with 4.4 liters left of fuel, he's gonna have to pit.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm not sure why he's risking running out of fuel in the DNF, but
because even when you DNF, you don't get any points. So if you DNF, he doesn't get any points at all. So
I'm pretty sure in this series, I don't know. We'll actually have to, the officials will have to look into that. Ask the officials about that. Because due to, I'm pretty sure Spidey and Driver will both get points still. As in previous races, if someone has DNF, they have, whether it be lag or retirement, they have gotten points, so.
As we see, Texas does lap John.
So, me for being a bit out of it, it seems. I'm currently figuring out the points.
Because as it seems right now, yeah, these are pretty much the spots that the drivers are going to be locked in, barring any miscues, any spin outs, any incidents. So, yeah, you pretty much lose a lot of points now.
Exactly. In LMP1, your new championship leader with 123 points will be Daniel, should anything happen. With Texas having 119 points, just 4 points behind. Then it's 41 points all the way back to Jonathan, who has 2 points over Spidey, who has 3 points over Damage, and then 14 points back to Driver, as Driver has not had the season he's wanted. In LMP2, Cone and Intersport did not start this race, as I think Cone intentionally did not start to keep the points close together, as...
Gotta love that brotherly romance between Intersport and Cone and that competitiveness from both of them, that even though I think Cone should have ran the race, there's just something where Cone is like, I can't race without my wingman, so I have to give him some props there that he doesn't want to extend the lead just by default. So I have to give him some props there for still wanting to keep the field balanced and running, and he still wants a very competitive title fight there right at the end between him and Intersport, because it's definitely obvious that both of them are the, that they're both the class of the field in the LMP2 class. So it's a very, very friendly, competitive relationship between the two drivers of Intersport and Cone Dodger, who are also former teammates from S3M, both in IndyCar, WEC, and IMSA. And they'll also be teaming up in the Indy 500 race along with Snepperpig and Mr. Howell when that race comes. So you've just got to love the brotherly romance between the two guys. So
yeah, 34 points separate them in the championship, with Intersport taking a 10-point penalty for switching cars. As it's starting to become a little bit dark here, this race definitely running a little bit later than the race promoters intended to, I think.
What is the live point standings for the GTE class? You have to think that Warrior, after today's race, if nothing else happens, he's going to hold a very commanding lead in the point
standings. Warrior is definitely running away with the points as we update the scores here. 64. 63. So, yeah, Warrior is definitely dominating this championship. Now, do keep in mind, our standard guys is 25 points for first, 18 second, 15 for third, 12 for fourth, 10 for fifth, and 8 for sixth. However, endurance races are double points, and the 3 hours of Daytona and 4 hours of Le Mans will be double points. I mean, double endurance points for a total of 100 points for the win. So, with that in mind, Warrior has 143 points, with his teammate Koala in second with 97. There's 46 points separating first and second. There's 64 of Dale, currently sits in third, only 8 points behind Koala. 4 points behind his teammate is Snipper in the 63 with 85 points. And the Ferraris have swapped positions at the bottom of the table, but Hefty only has 56 points over his teammates 50, which that has changed as Dale has fallen to the back of the grid, so I will need to update that.
Still, though, I was able to catch that on stream while you were doing that. Damage has considerably slowed down as he is now at 0.8 liters of fuel. He's having a huge problem with his car right now. I think he has his car like all the way turned down in 6th gear. He is in 6th gear running at 45 miles per hour. Don't know what he's doing there. I think he just doesn't want to go into pit lane, or like I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's doing. I'm pretty sure he's just fed up with the race he's had.
It definitely got off to a very bad start for Damage as well, because Damage was taken out by driver literally, I think it was 5 minutes into the race when the accident happened. And I think Damage is pitting. Damage is now pitting for his final stint to take fuel into his car. Damage does not pit. No, Damage does not pit.
He's going to limp it around on half a liter.
Wow. Don't know if it'll work.
Anyway.
But gotta give them some props there.
Leaders coming around through the final corner to take the white flag.
Yep, Daniel's coming down the front straight right now. And it has been a masterful race for him today. The only mistake he made, there was at least two where he got into the wrong pit box. He pulled out a masterful strategy to get right and tuck in right behind Texas, who was in the lead of the race. And he tucked in behind, but he pitted in the wrong box, was able to recover, go into the pits. He ended up taking way less fuel than Texas time, and we were wondering how much of an effect that was going to play. It didn't really do anything, as Texas time spun out, took a lot of damage, and ends up speeding into pit lane and got a drive-through. So he's just been having a masterful race today. Excuse me. But he's starting to come around the final corners now, and this has been a good race today from Daniel, as he will definitely take the points lead. He will only be 4 points out in front of Texas, but this will be his second win in a row. Now coming down the final corner, down the front straight, flashing his lights and everything. Along
right
with
beside
Thordo,
and Warrior, so all three of your class winners taking the line together.
And Daniel wins the race with Warrior right behind him as well. But damn, Daniel, you did it again. Back at it again in victory lane. Daniel wins the Fuji WEC race, as Texas time will take P2 in the LMP1 class. Jonathan more than likely will take the LMP1 third place spot. Big R is coming around soon, but Thordo,
Walla will be the next to take the checkered in second place. 1-2 finish for Ford yet again. Ford establishing themselves as the powerhouse in GTE. Dollard next behind to take the checkered in fifth place in GTE.
and Snipper
Followed by Damage
third place.
Oh! As John has some fun post-race. Dale comes around to take the checkered in 12th overall, with Big R rounding out the field. Oh, actually,
and that's it, ladies and gentlemen, as Daniel is your winner in LMP1. Thordo Gaming takes the win in LMP2, and Warrior takes the win in GTE. Those are our race winners. Now, I have to ask you, Dylan, what were your thoughts on the race?
Very interesting to see. I did not expect this much attrition in Fuji. Between penalties, damage, and just outright attrition with people leaving and retiring. Insanely high attrition here at Fuji, so we'll have to see what our next endurance race holds in store for us as we are approaching the crown jewel events of the 3 hours of Daytona and 4 hours of Le Mans. And Pecan, your mic has gone static. So, thank you for tuning in with us today. Strategy today was also very interesting.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So that was our race today, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel is your LMP1 race winner. Thordo, LMP2 winner in his debut race. And Warrior is your GTE winner. Now the UDL series is back in Belgium next week on the UDL channel. Followed by that, F1 will be back in Monza. And then the WEC series is back, as they will be sprint racing at the Road of the Americas. And then after that, the UDL series will be in Singapore the F1 series, followed by the Indy 500 bump day qualifying, and then the Indy 500 race will be right after that, all on the UDL League channel. I am Patrick Connery, Pcon36, with my partner Dylan423. That was the WEC Fuji race, and we thank you for watching.
Have a good night.